My name's Claire Pinder. I'm an archaeologist. I work for Dorset County Council. I know that you've been to Dorchester Museum, to the Dorset County Museum, and seen artefacts from Maiden Castle. We're now at Maiden Castle, standing to one side of the hill on which Maiden Castle sits, and we can see it ahead of us against the sunlight, a large earthwork, ramparts around a hill. Coming from the car park, we're going to be going up the slope of the castle to the entrance at the western end. There are two main entrances, one at each end, and it's a very complicated entrance with a very winding way in. We think that these entrances and the earthworks around the sides of the hill were created to impress visitors to Maiden Castle when they were built in the Iron Age, and I think they still do today because they're very large, impressive earthworks which must have taken people a long time to make. We're walking up the path that is used by visitors, but it probably represents the one of the main ways into the castle. It's a very well-worn track stretching out ahead of us. We can see where the grass is worn away by the footsteps of visitors and vehicles as well, on occasion used by the farmer who farms the hill.
What were the houses and the walls made out of?
We think from the excavations that have taken place that they were circular houses, that there were rings of posts on which sat a thatched roof, a pointed thatched roof, and the walls in between the posts were made of woven branches, and onto that a kind of plaster was applied and sort of patted down by people and left to dry, so that it made a very hard wall surface. So now we're going to work our way through the winding entrance from the outside of Maiden Castle into the inside, and if you can imagine, as we're making our way along, how confused you might have got if you were a visitor, and how intimidated by the big shining white banks with the fences on top, the stone gates, the buildings overlooking you, and perhaps, as they might have had, as some people think, heads on sticks and that kind of gruesome sight along the tops of the walls, just to impress on you how powerful they were and how unpowerful you were.
How many people were in the tribe at Maiden Castle?
The whole of the inside of the hill fort hasn't been excavated, so we have an incomplete idea of how densely it was occupied, how many houses were here at any one time. Lots and lots of them. In the early stages they seem to have been fairly disorganised in the way they set things out, but later they had streets and buildings were set in organised rows. So it's difficult to be certain of the number of people who either lived in the hill fort at any one time or who belonged to the tribe who lived here. We know from coins that the tribe seems to have controlled a very big area, most of Dorset, and quite a large part of Somerset as well to the north. So a very big tribe. It's difficult to say how many of them ever came to events or lived in Maiden Castle itself.